Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Get Off the Damn Fence. That's right, we're back for another week of our podcast featuring myself, Larry Caution, joined by co-host Calvin Thomas, Justin B. the Barber Harris. Gentlemen, how y'all doing tonight?
Feeling real
That
1990s
was like a
R&B
vibe.
with
I
that
don't know
joint.
what
You're
that
like, what is
was. I
what
was
is
like,
what is
I
that?
don't, I don't know what
This,
they doing. They added
this,
new music to it. I was like, Lord.
this like when 50 changed the intro to Power going to the last season. And just caught everybody off guard. Like, nah, bring back that old thing. Bring
I
that
had no
old thing
clue.
back.
I'm like, that's
Real
what.
Milli
Hey,
Vanilli-ish.
we use a program and I hit the button and that's what came out. I don't know where that came from, but anyway, thank y'all for joining us tonight. We do appreciate your patience with us. Today is Thursday. We are well aware that it's not Tuesday night, but we still appreciate you all joining us, and we're gonna always promise if we can't get you on a Tuesday. If we can't get you on a Wednesday, you know you're going to hear Justin breathing into that mic on a Thursday night. So that's all that matters. You know what I mean? We here and we ready, and we going to talk all the latest in sports and entertainment. And tonight, first of all, fellas, how y'all doing? How was your week? Calvin, I know you enjoyed a time away, a little time with the missus. Happy belated birthday to your wife. Andre, I know you're watching. I know you're in the comments. Thanks you. Happy birthday, darling.
Yeah, she in the background.
She probably is.
She's working on a project for someone.
How was your trip, brother?
So, yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Good to get away for a couple of days. With the unlimited food and drinks and
yeah, that's always
lovely company. So, well, how was yours? How was your staycation?
Hey man, I had a very good time away myself. Me and the missus, not Mrs. Miss, soon to be Mrs. I ain't married like y'all, but celebrated our anniversary coming up on last week. So it was a good time, man. Good time away. But back to talk business with the fellas. And Justin, I know you got some great news on the horizon as well. We'll let you break that when you're ready.
I look at Justin's face. I could tell when he about to say something ignorant.
That's why I moved it on. That's why I moved it on. You know what I mean?
Eventually, I want to take this show right now. I want to put like a pin this, because in 9 to 10 months, I want to see where we at. Because somebody is going to be expecting in 9 to 10 months. That's all I'm saying. Out that conversation, out this intro between both of y'all, 9 to 10 months, I want to see where we at. That's all.
It might be that guy in the MSU sweatshirt, because over here we got another thing going on. Anyway, let's rock with some topics tonight, folks. We got to talk about this because it's very interesting, and I know we might even be a bit guilty of this ourselves. This is a topic that came up, and someone made a good point. When this happened to Deshaun Watson, it was breaking news. It was one of the things that people were talking about, top of the show, on everything. It was the news, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden, Justin Tucker is in the news. It's been out for weeks now, and nobody seems to be covering it to that extent. Justin Tucker was accused of very, very similar things as Deshaun Watson by multiple massage therapists. The story broke in the Baltimore Banner a couple weeks ago, right after the season. It's almost like they held it until after the Ravens were eliminated from the playoffs. And then Justin Fenton, who we know around here in Baltimore, who is the producer, the big time writer behind the Baltimore Banner, came out with this story. And it didn't break headlines around the country. It didn't get the same publicity or the same attention that what happened with Deshaun Watson. And we know what happened with that and how the Texans actually moved on from him. Now, he landed in Cleveland on the biggest contract in NFL history, so it's not like it stunted him from making money, so I'm not going to go that far. But just from a public perception and conversation, I've heard more jokes about the situation than anything. Calvin, you're close to this. You're close to the Ravens. What is your thoughts on this whole allegation?
The same massage parlors.
Andrea, I don't believe in
services. I don't get them same services.
Totally joking. Don't put that on that man. I apologize. Let me take that back.
What you think, Calvin?
My money ain't like that. Look, allegedly, over the weekend I did hear, or late last week I did hear there were NFL investigators in town, allegedly going to these various massage parlors. The one right around the corner from where I live just closed down last week, so I don't know if that's
interesting.
as well. But it deserves more attention. I think the biggest difference is you've only heard from people who heard it from one of the alleged victims in the situation. That there hasn't been that mainstream, that person that's come out and initially said it. It doesn't negate the fact of what's going on in any way, because once you have, if it's one, okay, maybe, but 16, you're not going to tell me 16 people are going to have the same story about the same individual and is false in any way. So, but it deserves more attention, and I don't know if they're trying to handle it internally. I don't know if you're going to see something on March 12th when the league year starts and all of a sudden it'll be cut. But you can say you haven't seen the same amount of Royal Farms commercials with many recently, the same amount of M&T commercials with him recently. You can say that his merchandise is discounted online as well, so that can all lead you to the same belief that he won't be here. But there needs to be more attention on the situation, because when this was Deshaun Watson, you heard about this all year long. When the Houston Texans
every talking head was talking about it.
Houston Texans sent him away and just said, "Hey, go away for the year," and paid him. You still heard about this and how it affected the organization and what happened previously. Now, we talked about his play during the last 2 years, and it's obvious that this affected his play, because you don't know when this was going to come out, or if it was going to come out, or when the shoe was going to drop. But it deserves more attention because of what he allegedly did. I'm not saying someone needs to speak up because they deserve their privacy. But, however, the Ravens need to speak up more beside a press conference at the NFL Combine and answer a couple questions. Be definitive in your statement. Don't beat around the bush. Say what you're going to do. If you're going to cut them, say you're going to cut them. But waiting to see what happens when you have a no tolerance policy after Ray Rice as well.
There you go.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have no tolerance, but now we're going to wait and see. So I'm not saying this is horrible. I'm not saying this is EDC. Maybe it comes from the top, but don't say you have no tolerance policy and then have this outcome when you're dealing with this situation now.
Yeah, and the statement made by Eric DeCosta, he said the allegations are serious, concerning. The amount of allegations are serious and concerning. I think we're fortunate the league is doing an investigation. Now, when he said, "I think we're fortunate the league is doing an investigation,"
that means it
takes
it out
of my hands. You know what I mean?
That's exactly
we'll wait as patiently as we can.
Because if you suspend him, I don't have to make a decision right now. If you suspend him for 8 games, I don't have to make a decision right now. I got that roster spot. I had to get another kicker, and I could push this down the year further to where it be out of sight, out of mind. That's all. I thought
that was pretty cowardly the way.
That's all it means.
Said. Justin, what's your thoughts on the whole situation?
It's not the first time somebody got caught up in it. It was some headlines, but it kind of got swept under the rug. Mm-hmm. Can I bring the name Robert Kraft to your attention?
Same thing. Yep.
It was talking about and just kind of just under the rug, and then this black male tend to have something similar going on, that he's some type of perversion. Let's just call it what it is, some type of perversion, and he gets, he's public enemy number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly we see the contrast here. Clearly we see another person of Caucasian descent having something similar, and as a result, it gets swept under the rug as much as possible. Now, with that being said, I understand that one's a quarterback, one's an owner, one's a quarterback, one's a kicker, right? Quarterbacks are premier, right? They are it when it comes to the NFL. We understand that, but when we all can hear, and we're from Baltimore, so we're not even hearing it like that in Baltimore. So imagine what's going on across the nation. You know what I'm saying? So they're probably not even talking about it at all. It's not leading no talk shows. It's not leading the media runs and none of that. So at the end of the day, it's pretty sad, actually, what's going on. And I think the only thing I can also bring up is the fact that we're not hearing that many details. When Deshaun stuff kind of got leaked, the details came shortly after. And when you get the details behind it, then you get the visualizations. Like, this dude was probably doing some weird stuff with the towels and stuff. We're not hearing the details like that from
the lewdness,
Tucker like that. And I think once those details come out, I expect an uproar then. So now you have a visual to go along with what he's being accused of.
So you're saying
when the smoke is fire,
similar to, I don't want to make not the direct correlation, but you're saying similar to Ray Rice. It wasn't that exact uproar until you saw the video. And then
but we never saw a video, Deshaun. But it was like
when she described it, when the victim described it.
Yeah, when my man started to put himself in certain positions.
Yeah, and it was recurring. That was a recurring thing. My issue is, and again, we live in Baltimore. We Ravens, me and Calvin are Ravens fans. We support the team. So if I'm sitting here like, come on, guys, y'all got to be fair. You know what I mean? You got to call it like you see it. Justin Fenton, I know this guy. He does a great job with reporting. This is a local paper who had to break this story, and he had good details. Go back and read the articles. They out there online for you to see. I know some of them behind a paywall, so that might be part of the issue as well. Some people don't want to pay the subscription to read the whole article, but there's other transcriptions out there. He did a great job, and he spoke to multiple people. It wasn't one or two, and this didn't just happen this season. This dates back a while. That's the thing. They say, I think that it started like right after the Super Bowl. Like the man's been in the league since what, 2012?
2012.
Yeah, because we got him after the year Billy Cundiff missed, and we should have went to Super Bowl back. But anyway, again, this has been happening his whole career. Essentially, they have multiple suspects. So again, I mean not suspects, victims. So again, I'm not saying he raped anybody. I'm not saying he, it's so this egregious thing. Of course, we think, well, he got a couple happy endings. We laugh and joke about it because that's been the age-old thing forever. But if it was unwanted, if he forced himself upon these people, that is a crime. You know what I mean? And it needs to be investigated. And I just want to look, this sorry statement, it pissed me off. That's what made me say, like, come on, guys, what are you saying? So you want the league to handle this, to absolve you of any type of, because did you know about it already? Is that the thing? And you just kept it hush? Because clearly, Justin Fenton is not breaking this story without going to the Ravens for a comment before the story hit the. That's just not how they do things. That's not how newspapers write stories. Maybe some blog would do that. Maybe some off the record report. They went to the Ravens, say, look, this is what we know, and we're going to run with this story. We need a comment. So don't act like you didn't know.
And they pushed it off after the season too.
Yes, they did. And they probably held off.
The fact that he was banned from so many different massage parlors, you just don't. When you know who that is, you don't think they contacted the Ravens themselves?
Of course they did. And security, I know Ravens.
And you don't think other players knew about it as well? That this is the same parlors? And went back and reported it?
Hey, homeboy, that's players on players. We won't talk about that.
Exactly. But again, I'm just going to say, they know where you made a great point, Calvin. They waited until this story didn't come out until the Ravens lost to the Bills. It was like the same week. Like, so you telling me if the Ravens would have went to the Super Bowl, they would have waited till media week to release this story? No, they was going to wait until the Ravens were done playing, probably out of respect. And maybe they said, look, just hold it until after we done. So no, I don't want to hear this. They need to come more correct, come with your stuff. But again, this is a shame. You don't see this on First Take. You don't see this on Get Up. You don't see this on none of the national shows. I just saw somebody talk about it today. Rob Parker and Chris Broussard had it on their show. And I was like, wow, this
Rob
is
Parker was on there? Oh, you're doing the radio show. Right?
The radio show they got, yeah. So interesting. But anyway, that was just something I found that we need to cover. If we want to be fair and balanced, and we the place you can come, get it straight, man. We off the fence. You know what I mean?
The next date, the key date is March 12th. Do you address when the league gets starts, or is it you just gonna continue to wait until the league does something?
At this point, you just wait. I mean, they're going to get a kicker anyway. You know they're going to have to get a kicker because they're going to take a suspension.
But it doesn't make if he's suspended for part of the year and then you bring him back and that says more to me anything about this organization because you're basically saying you don't think there's enough evidence or you're backing him fully or what's the reason for him to still be on the team at this point?
Because
outside of cap situations, but you could designate him post June 1st, right? You're going to take a cap hit regardless. It's going to hurt. It's going to affect your team, how you build your team, because you have to cut him. But you're already talking about cutting him because of his poor performance.
He was slumping before that. He turned it around. I'll give him credit for turning around at the end of the season. But I just think if you're going to suspend him for 8 games, he loses game checks off there, right? You ain't got to pay him. Hold on to him. Why not? Anyway, he's still a football player. One more thing before we move off the NFL. Matthew Stafford is on the trade block. A lot of discussion about that this week. A lot of destination possibilities. Justin, where would you see Matthew Stafford if he's going to leave LA, according to the conversation Sean McVay's been having, the money they – and we've all probably heard about the list of players that make more money than Matthew Stafford, a guy who led his team in playoffs last year, played very well, gave the Eagles all they could handle. What's a team right now you would say could use a Matthew Stafford, and actually that could be the missing piece to put them over the top? I'll start with you, Justin.
Man, that's a good question. It would have to be an indoor team.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be location. I think doesn't bother him too much, but it is coming from LA, right? So you always got to think about that. Like, who wants to leave LA like that? But they got somebody over in Minnesota that that couldn't perform well in the playoffs. And he was on a 1-year type deal. So if they get rid of Sam Darnold and JJ not 100%, JJ, you want to sit out one more year. I'm gonna go ahead and let Matthew Stafford throw that thing to Jay Jettis. I can see that. I can see that happening real well.
Okay. Calvin, who you got?
I know this would never happen, but why go so far? Why go to Minnesota? Why not just go to the Northern California? Go to San Fran. I'm not paying Brock Purdy $50 million. I'm not making Brock Purdy the highest paid quarterback in the league. I can go get Matt Stafford. I can get a better quarterback with a better arm in this offense. Maybe Debo wants to stay now. Ayuk comes back. Kittle. We'll see what happens with McCaffrey. But I think Stafford's a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. And even if I have to pay Brock Purdy more than Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, am I comfortable doing that? Or can I go get Matt Stafford for a couple years? I know this team is an older team as well. The timeline fits more with Stafford because I don't think we saw Purdy was not able to lead that team when everybody was hurt this past year. So why not get a quarterback that's more in line, a winning quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, more in line with my the rest of my team? So I like San Fran. It won't happen because in the division.
Too now.
Yeah, he's had struggles.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Pittsburgh is the answer. I mean,
you're not going outside.
You don't think he'll play outside? He played well in Philly last year in the snow.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
he's outside though.
But
every
you
home
get
game,
old like that, oh boy, I'm not playing outside.
Every home game, every division game is outside in the cold.
No, I get it. I'm just saying if you want to put a team like this, they feel like they got the defense, they feel like they got every piece, and they just need a quarterback. Pittsburgh.
If I'm Pittsburgh, I'd go trade for him and Cooper Kupp. Try to solve 2 of your problems at once.
Debo's out there. You could load up, get a little squad together. Again, I'm just spitballing. And if you want to compete in that, I like the Minnesota one, even though I don't know how far JJ is off. If they really believe that JJ McCarthy is the future, how long, how much? The thing is, he wants money. So how much money are you going to put in Stafford? You know what I mean? If you got a quarterback of the future already in your locker room, Pittsburgh don't have a quarterback for the future. That's why I figured they wouldn't mind throwing a couple of dollars at him for a short deal. But anyway, it'll be interesting to track this as the offseason goes along. Let's get into some NBA. So a big discussion that was happening last week, and I was just chomping at the bit. I was like, damn, I wish our show was today. I wish our show was today. I want to talk about this so bad because we talked about the NBA All-Star Game extensively last week. And just after we got off the air, the next day I had to watch all these sports shows kind of have the same debate we kind of had, but not in the context. What their debate was, the NHL was in the midst of having their form of the All-Star game with this Four Nations tournament. And a lot of people were saying that's how it should be. Now, we had a discussion last week talking about should the NBA go to USA versus the world. That we had that discussion last week. And me and Justin both said that we thought it could be good for the competitive nature. It can infuse some type of fight back into the All-Star game, give the players something to fight for, yada, yada, yada. So the NHL, they had their All-Star game has been a joke for years, just like much of their regular season hasn't really been highly rated. But this Four Nations thing has infused so much patriotism, so much pride, so much garnered. The ratings were through the roof that a lot of people took this opportunity to try to make this into a why the NHL is better than the NBA conversation. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it pretty much pissed me off. I was so mad. I took a personal offense to this conversation. Justin, you heard this conversation. I'm sure you did. What were your thoughts?
You can't entertain everything, and this is one of the things where I'm not entertaining it 100%. Is it good that another league put something out there where you can potentially take from? Yes, that's what it's all about. We was talking about maybe taking stuff from baseball and the way they have their All-Star game affects the World Series or whatnot. Those are things you can take if it works. And if it doesn't work, hey, we're not going to try that. I guarantee you other leagues are not going to try to have young stars to go against their All-Stars. Why? Because the NBA tried it and it didn't work.
And it failed.
So in this situation, has hockey caught up? Of course not. It's only going to be a big three. There will never be another big four. And if anything, hockey better keep watching out for MMA and UFC. That's number 4 if you really think about it. /UFC /WWE. That's what you need to worry about. So we're not really worried about the NHL. They had a great idea, and especially with their league, that makes total sense. Hell, baseball might seem to do something similar because they got so many nations involved in baseball. So it
been talking about that for years.
Great thing to piggyback off of, but there's no catching up here. No, not at all.
Yeah. Calvin, what was your thoughts?
It's simple. What have you done for me lately? And it garnered so much attention based off what's going on politically as well. In addition to where the location of the tournament was as well. So all that played a part into the ratings and this NHL versus NBA topic. You won't talk about this in 2 weeks. You won't talk about this specific event in 2 weeks. I'm not saying the things that added to it, but you won't talk about this event in 2 weeks. It was the perfect storm for this particular topic and for this particular event in the NHL All-Star game. It was the perfect storm, and that's the main reason.
I said that too. Donald Trump placing those tariffs on Canada really infused this because it made all the Canadians pissed off at the United States.
It was in Canada, right? Was it in?
It really fired people up. And Canada, they love their hockey. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's what helped garner this whole us versus them mentality. And then Trump going after the prime minister of Canada, talking about I'm gonna put these tariffs on you so y'all can't come over the border, can't sell your goods over here and all that. Look, it was a dog whistle. But my biggest problem was when I turned on ESPN, I never see no hockey conversation. Have you ever? Come on, be real. Come on, no. They barely talk baseball. You know what I mean? Like, it's football all year.
Barry Melrose, I think that's his name.
Or the girl, what's the young lady? The young lady Mendoza or whatever. She be on there sometimes now. But yeah, very seldomly do you hear about them talking about it.
The only reason I know who PK Subban is because he was dating Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend.
All of a sudden, they put this Negro all over every show that they could find because they finally found a black man who play hockey who can carry a conversation. And all of a sudden, they use him to be the poster boy to run down the NBA. Did y'all hear this guy?
My man PK, and his name PK.
Did y'all hear this guy? I literally wanted to find where he lived and go talk to him face to face. He got on national television, and now some of the things he said, of course, and anything you say, there's going to be some things that we've all said at some point. Of course, this is one of the things he said. I'm sick and tired of making athletes greats, all times greats that aren't the best examples. Those are the people we want our kids to follow. He started naming when Kobe broke his finger and Jordan played with the flu. Guys, we're talking about the All-Star game. Kobe didn't break his finger in the All-Star game. Jordan didn't play with the flu in the All-Star game. Stop it. This was another thing he said. This was the most viewed game that we've had in years. And you see, it's because it's not based on the skill and talent. It's based on pride, honor, playing for the guy next to you. I got a question for the NBA players. What the hell are you playing for? What are you playing for? Didn't the NBA, didn't they just win gold medals? Like, what are we talking about here? This pissed me off so much. Next, he says, but I'm watching Kobe walk off the court with his freaking finger dislocated, popping it back and going. His Achilles is torn. He's shooting free throws. The guy's a gamer. Michael Jordan's a gamer. Those guys leave it all on the court. They don't care. They break their nose. They don't care. They want to leave it out there. You want to win at all costs. Now, we're talking about also here. The season is not about getting in shape and getting in playing shape. You need to be, if you're making $200, $150, $300 million, your only job is to make sure your body is equipped to handle 82 games plus. It's not on the game that you're hurt. It's on you. It's not on the game. This guy, man, this guy is comparing hockey, where they roll around on ice skates with a stick in their hand, and fighting is part of the game. Fighting is actually part of the game to NBA basketball. What are we doing here? Have y'all seen the NFL Pro Bowl game? Does anybody watch the NFL Pro Bowl game?
It's not a game anymore.
Why? It's because it became a joke, right? What's the most popular sport in the United States?
Football.
The NFL. Does anybody think that the Pro Bowl being what it is has anything to do with how popular?
Does anyone watch the Pro Bowl?
Does anybody care? That's my point. Why are we putting so much weight into what the All-Star game is? And we're gonna, when the NBA playoffs come around, what they're gonna do? What are we gonna do if we are basketball fans? Watch. Lock in. Know you're gonna get the best every night.
That first weekend.
I'm not done.
So it's not the first time. Before you get there, I remember during the Olympics, Noah Lyles took shots.
Yeah.
Right? It's an easy thing because they think the NBA is a low hanging fruit. So I can take shots at the NBA and let's see what they do because they want to be like the NBA. They want to get those guaranteed contracts and things like that. You don't take too many shots at football because there's no guaranteed contracts. These guys get paid, but a lot of guys don't. So it's not necessarily that you want to take shots at. Take shots at what you want to be like. I want to be like that. I want to have that type of security in my life and things like that. So I think that's where it comes from as well. I'm not saying NHL don't have contracts. I don't watch enough NHL to know if they have guaranteed contracts or not. I honestly don't give a damn. But it's the shots that they take at the NBA players, and it's problem setting at best. But like I said, this is the second person in another sport to take shots at the NBA.
Yeah. So KG had a response to that. KG said respects to hockey and them trying to get their viewership right. But until they tap into culture, I don't know what's going to be. At least for Americans, at least for the group of people that I'm around, how we talk about sports, it ain't nothing. Nobody talk about the NHL. To beat up another sport, to glorify your own, I wasn't feeling that. Hockey to me, when I watch those guys, they're passionate too. But you talk about teaching kids. Imagine going into a setting where you want to fight. Oh, yeah, I don't know what KG was saying at the end, but I got the gist of what he was trying to say. Because PK said these guys are terrible. Kids, NBA players are a bad example.
You're sending kids to a place where they fight.
Yeah.
And it's a part of the game.
Kids that. What are you teaching them?
It's a part of the game.
Yeah, that's what he was getting at. I'm assuming.
That's why they'll never be posted childs for anything. Nobody. You know Wayne Gretzky because that's the name you know. You know what I mean? Mario Lemieux. Them guys don't play no more. Anyway, Tom Brady jumped on the train. He rips the media for pitting the NBA and NHL against each other. The talking heads were talking off their heads. For some reason, the contrast between these two events turned the sports news cycle into a referendum on the intensity of the NBA All-Star game and the quality of participation from the sports superstars, instead of a wholehearted celebration of the amazing in hockey. Again, why you got to talk about the NBA to try to prop up your sport? Because nobody's watching it, so you're using it as a stepping stone. I just didn't understand it, and I don't like it. It was so confusing. While we talked about LeBron's decision not to suit up and the lack of defense in the All-Star game, we should be talking about whoever that guy is dropping his gloves like a scene out of Slapshot. You want the greatest athletes in the world to go out there and play their hearts out in an exhibition game as if it's real, if it's a real game. But you haven't asked the most important question. What are the players actually playing for? And there is enough to make going hard worth the risk. Is there enough? We talked about that. What is the NBA All-Star Game actually doing for the NBA players? If it ain't about the money, if it ain't about home court advantage in the finals, we talked about all this stuff. Anyway, Calvin.
Look, going back to the NBA All-Star Game, I believe Michael Jordan said that it was either Michael Jordan or I want to say it was Jordan had a great point about the All-Star Game. The All-Star Game used to be a point where if you were young or you were up and coming, you use that as a platform to kind of take off, to get your name out there because all eyes were on that game. Now you come into the league and you already have that platform because we've seen you play since high school. We've seen your 1 year in college. We've seen you on social media. We've seen your highlight tape. So now everyone knows who you are and knows what you can do. So there's no more using this platform to kind of get out there and garner more attention. So it's nothing that I'm not gaining anything from this, but it should be to grow the game. And that's what you need to get back to and figure out a way how to get back to the game through this All-Star weekend. It can't be about money when y'all make X amount of dollars. It just has to be about growing the game. And that's priceless. But we got to get back to that point somehow, some kind of way, that competitive spirit. If it's just someone saying I'm better than you and that triggers something, we can take it from there. But until you get back to that point where it has to be about the game just that one weekend and not about my brand or anything like that, we're gonna keep putting out this same product over and over and over. And even between the Saturday night with the All-Star game, with the slam dunk competition and the 3-point competition, how much more can you do without garnering more attention? So,
but I think the part of the problem is they're not just talking about the All-Star game at this point. They're taking a shot at the entire league.
Yeah, I mean,
saying the league is not worth watching.
That was the most airtime I've ever seen on about hockey on First Take. That whole opinionated piece, don't care about that, because his specific opinion was just there to garner attention and to garner attention for the NHL versus the NBA, specifically the NHL. But at this point, it was last week and no one talked about it since. So that just shows how important, least important it was, specifically the NHL, when no one's talking about this next week on any of the major platforms.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of the criticism the NBA gets is from people keep comparing it to yesteryear. And this yesteryear, like I said last week, they misremembering some of this stuff, man. The game was completely different, man. The game was slower. It just
not
bothers
as athletic,
me.
not as great athletes.
These guys take a lot of heat, man.
Well, look, to play
it's
advocate,
comparing apples and oranges, but
and to be honest, the problem is, and Stephen A. said it, and I give him credit, and we all seen it. They play harder during summer ball. That's the problem. If I can get some of them open runs and see it during the All-Star game, you wouldn't have anybody complaining. They don't just sit around jacking threes during the summer runs. No, they driving, they dishing, they playing basketball.
They still don't play as much defense.
But they're still playing basketball versus what you see versus in the All-Star game. If you can take some of those summer clips and you compare that to what you just saw in the All-Star game, it is like night and day. So I think that's what people really want. We see that. See, before we never saw none of that stuff, right? So it was like, yeah, we understand it's the All-Star game. They're not necessarily doing something, but I haven't seen the summer thing, so I don't even know that part exists. Now that you see that, and you see like, yo, I actually do see y'all playing a little bit harder than what y'all doing now, then it's like, yo, y'all just don't care. And that's where the problem lies. But I would like to say to my own counter argument to the original thing I said, like I said, I'm not 100% for it. It's because if I get hurt during summer play,
exactly,
I got 4 or 5 months to recover.
You get hurt at the break.
Get hurt in
you
February,
missing the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm missing the playoffs for my team. So that's where that argument gets killed. But it's still an argument nonetheless.
And here's another thing, and I think this is very, very important. When we talk about these athletes are bigger, stronger, faster, we say that all the time, right? The genetics are different. If you know anything about athletics and how the body works, when you are built a certain way, you can withstand certain things. You can, because those players back in the, let's be real, man. Let's go back to the 90s. They weren't, the bodies, the physiques weren't like these players. When you have the type of muscles and the type of tissues these players have, tears happen a lot differently now. You know what I mean? You can tear a bicep, you can put your Achilles. You didn't hear about too many Achilles in the 90s. Let's be honest. Tommy John, even in baseball, Tommy John surgery got big because what? That was like the surgery to take you out. If you get Tommy John, you want coming back. Now people come back from Tommy John like all the time. Achilles. Achilles injury, we used to end careers. How many players we know come back from Achilles now? How many players we know come back from some of these injuries that used to be a death sentence with players? Because it's just the medicine is different. People have trainers, people have regiments. Everything is just so different, and you getting paid that much money. Your body, you're going to be more cautious with, should I sit tonight? And another thing while we on that, another thing that pisses me off, and I'm a Spurs fan. People talk about the game, and you don't know who's going short ball tonight. Who started a lot of this rest? The Spurs did. The Spurs. And that wasn't. So are y'all telling me that was this era of basketball? No, the Spurs, when
nobody had a problem with it.
That was, people had a problem with it, but it was, they accepted it.
With it. Well, no, wait, no. David Stern had a problem with it, but no one, a visiting
they didn't make it a referendum on the league
because they thought their Spurs were boring, so they didn't mind.
Exactly.
David Stern had a problem with it, yes, but opposing teams fans didn't
have a problem. Not necessarily boring. I think the age of Tim Duncan led everything.
Tim wasn't even that old at that point when they were still resting.
36 at least.
It was a little earlier than that, but LeBron right now was 40, and they talking about they mad at him because he didn't play the All-Star game.
They're not mad at him because he didn't play the All-Star game. How he sat out, and I heard there was some reasons why he did that.
Tim would show up to the game.
Reasons towards the league.
Tim will rest. We will find out about Tim Duncan not playing at 7. The game started at 7:00. They wouldn't tell us till 6:00.
And all of a sudden, the three of them on a plane back to San Antonio, and there's still 2 more games on the road trip.
And niggas got DMP rest in the next to their name. Excuse my French. Like this. No. Everybody trying to blame this current 2020 style player, or I don't know what this era is considered. I don't know what's the time frame. This decade, I don't know. But I'm like, are you kidding me? You know why a lot of teams started replicating what the Spurs was doing? Because they got 5 titles behind it. You know what I mean? Like it was leading to winning. So of course it's going to get replicated. Some of the coaches who was in San Antonio are now head coaches and assistant coaches and GMs and all around the league. So don't try to blame, you know what I mean, the modern player. That's how the game was transformed because they saw some things that were successful that Greg Popovich, who was old school as they come, allegedly started. He learned from Larry Brown. Go ahead. But yeah, I'm just saying some of this stuff. Shannon Fry had another good comment on his podcast. I didn't agree with everything he said, but I agree with some of it. Like, I do think sometimes nostalgia is the biggest enemy of today's game because you get compared to how the game was when you fell in love with the game so much. And it's grating. It becomes I feel bad for these young guys, man. I really do, some of them. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too before we move on to LeBron, because we definitely got to talk about LeBron. I want to do an exercise. And I thought about this. And I know I'm putting y'all on the spot, but that's what I do. If you had to right now, y'all see that? If you had to
see a circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you had to right now pick 5 players that you would call, no matter what, these are guys I can rely on night in, night out. They give me maximum effort. Night in, night out. Pick 5. We'll go one at a time. Give me your 5, and I'm talking about top players, not no role players, not no bench players. I'm talking about leaders of the team. And you know, on any given night, when you buy a ticket, they come into play. Who you going with? Number 1, Calvin, I'll start with you. Night in, night out.
Jason Tatum.
JT. Why?
Look, as young as he is, I don't remember him. I remember him. Outside of the Olympics, I remember him playing night in, night out. Given this, I'm not saying he's played well every night, but he's more often than not he's played well. He's 3 first team All NBA teams. Probably gonna be a 4th this year. 2 NBA finals. I remember him getting better each year and still not even reaching his peak at this point. And I just remember every time I watch him. Now, granted, I think he takes too many threes. He can get to the basket whenever he wants to. But he's never going to lose a game taking 10 shots. He's going to keep shooting no matter what. And that may be to his detriment, but I think offensively he's going to give you everything he's got every night. And he may not even be the best player on his team that specific night. So,
Justin, who you got?
Jalen Brunson.
I'm not shocked.
But okay.
I'm not shocked. I mean, it's a good pick. Give me a reason.
One, I think in order to be consistent like that, the culture changes around you. And he came to New York. We wasn't in disarray, but we definitely didn't have any type of identity. He, as a point guard, as small as he is, came in, established an identity. He established a culture, and everything else followed behind it. He is still the leader of this team. So that's not easy to come by, and you have to be very consistent, or else if he was inconsistent, people wouldn't follow him. It's just as simple as that. So you don't necessarily have to be the most physically gifted guy. You don't have to be the most paid guy or none of those things. You just have to be you still got to be good. Jalen Brunson he's a great player, but he changed the culture and they followed behind him. That's consistency for me.
I don't think it's no shock who I'm going with. Look, say what you want. Did he get a coach fired? Possibly. But the man, Giannis, he just plays hard. I love everything about his attitude when it comes to on the basketball court. He gives me maximum effort on both ends of the court each and every night. And I have no doubt when I watch a Bucks game, he coming with it every time. I love that man. That's my guy. Who you got, Calvin?
I love you so long.
And we can pick the same people. It don't matter. This your 5.
So we're going by position too.
It don't have to be position.
Okay.
Any 5. Because the exercise is people are taking shots at the NBA, saying that this league right now don't have no dogs, don't have nobody who want to be a leader, don't have nobody that want. Like I take offense to that.
I give this guy grief. I routinely go at him, but Jokic, night in, night out, Jokic gonna give you everything. Jokic's gonna give you points, rebounds, assists. Going to lead his team. Going to go out there by himself and try to get a victory. And he's a 3-time MVP. I'm not saying he deserves a 3-time MVP, but he puts up numbers. And arguably after this season, you can say he's top 15 to 18 all time, and probably higher than that. I'm probably downgrading it somewhat. But if you came up to me and said he's better than KD after this season, I don't know if I have much of an argument. I may not like it, but I may not have much of an argument. And
the numbers is there.
And this is a guy that was drafted during the Taco Bell commercial 10 years ago. Out of shape guy who just cannot be stopped offensively, no matter who is guarding him, no matter what you throw at him. Now he may not have a great game all the time, but he's going to unload the clip and go at you every night. I'm not saying I'm his biggest fan. I respect his game, and you got to appreciate it.
I respect. That's a hell of an answer for you, Calvin, because you're a hater. But I really respect that. I will take the hater moniker off you for now for Jokic. Justin, who you got?
His recent play. If you would have asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have had him on this list. But his recent play, I have to respect it, and I'm actually amazed by it. LeBron James needs to be on here.
That's it.
For being consistent. He's
it.
playing like he's. I know the All-Star thing. Like I said, once I found out that was more of an FU to the league itself, of having them young boys playing with the All-Stars. That's what I heard. I believe it. So I'm going with that. So I'm not going to hold too much against him on that. But when it comes to his effort right now, and being a freaking 40-year-old dude out there catching alley hoops and stuff, I know we about to go into LeBron, so I'm not going to go too heavy into it. It's amazing how consistent he is right now versus some of these other guys that's not even going to be put on this list. So enough, we'll talk more about LeBron.
I juggled and I struggled with not putting him number one on my list, and I started to, but I held off because Giannis is just I gotta give Giannis because I never had the question. I don't think anybody who knows basketball would ever question anything Giannis ever did. There's still some questions about LeBron, about some things he's done over the course of his career. But like you said,
I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
But at the age of 40, years, 23, 22, 23, whatever this is.
Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal. I mean, what can you say? And like I said, we're going to talk about him in great detail in a minute. He's the next topic. But goddamn, if anybody who wants to criticize this era of basketball and the number one person you're critiquing is that guy, I discount pretty much everything you say after that, because either you're not paying attention or you just that much in the clouds of hate that you just want to find some reason, because this GOAT debate is just going to become so stupid to me. We're talking about 1, 2, or 3 at this point. Like, that's greatness regardless. Like, if the debate has to come down to 1, 2, or 3, what are we doing here? But anyway, go ahead, Calvin. What you got?
I wanted to interject for a quick second. Calvin, you're a Lakers fan, right?
Yeah.
Your first pick was a Boston Celtics, and the second pick was the person that eliminated Lakers flight for the last 3-4 years. I just wanted to throw that out there as you continue your list.
I'm trying to be easily pick LeBron. But you know what? In my third pick, I'm not even going to pick LeBron. My third pick, I'm going to save that for last. My third pick, I'm going to pick KD. Outside of an Achilles injury and outside of a foot injury, KD comes to hoop every night.
Play basketball.
If you want to argue about the move to go into Golden State, that's something. But on the court, he comes to hoop every night. And then I think you need to appreciate what he's done on the court.
I agree.
On the court throughout his entire career. He's the only second active player with 30,000 points. He could easily have another 4,000 or 5,000 points if he didn't get injured those 2 seasons. He basically missed 2 whole seasons because his injury was so early in the season, or late in the Achilles and missing the following season. But he comes to hoop every night.
But Calvin, because he's injured, he's not effective. He's not there. He's not showing up. He's getting paid too much money to get hurt. He shouldn't get hurt.
I don't see KD. I see KD coming to hoop. And KD is in what, year 17, 18 as well?
Is it that many?
KD been at least since 07.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with you. Justin, who you got next?
Consistent. I'm gonna have to go with Shea, man.
Since he came
Shea,
in,
SGA
representative.
He embodies a team culture in basketball, in which people are talking about how individual basketball is they only care about themselves, so on and so forth. He brings his whole team up with the press conferences and things like that. If they have a post game interview, he got about 3 or 4 guys up there with him. He's never alone, and I think he did that purposely. This is the same guy that has been traded back and forth early in his career. He could have came about this whole thing very differently, very selfish. Like, that's how they treated me. I'm going to treat everyone else the same exact way. He did not do that. He did not choose to go that route. So to me, that's another level of consistency, let alone the fact that the man always give you over 30 points a game. I was waiting for them to get 40s and 50s, in which this year he's giving you 40s and 50s now. Shai, I think Shai is just doing it the right way, boss. And I it's a fresh sight to see.
I agree with that. And if he keeps this up, man, he on the trajectory, man. Be like, woo, super special, man, super special. For me, and look. If you talk, you already said it, but I agree. Yoke got to be on my list, man. This guy, what can he do? What do you want? Like, when everybody, look, I love Joel, and Joel, like, similar to what you said about KD, about the injuries and stuff like that. I'm not going to hold injury against a guy who has skill, but Yoke, I think he's out now with a broken leg or something like that, or what is it, a right hand?
I thought he was playing now. Him tonight.
He came back. Maybe it was a bad report I saw. I thought Jokic got hurt, but anyway, if he good, he good. I'll leave it alone.
He was at least in pregame.
The guy's been consistent. The guy's a champion. He didn't have to go, and I'm not knocking nobody who had to leave or link up or nothing like that. They built the team around him. He does it passing the ball, rebounding, and he can score when need be. No, that's a dog to me. I'm sorry. You want somebody consistent? No, look no further than the big fella in Denver. He's on my list. Calvin, who's number 4 for you?
So I'm gonna go with a guy that's not a superstar, but someone that does the dirty work and has been on winning teams for most of his career. And he's probably not even on here. I'm surprised Justin didn't go with him because he's on this team. I'm gonna go with Bridges. Someone that has played 500-600 consecutive games, that comes to work every day, that played for a team last year in Brooklyn that had no shot, or the last 2 years in Brooklyn had no shot of winning, still came to work every day, still putting in work. And this is a guy that was on a championship contending team in Phoenix, went to New York with another championship contending team. I know he ain't on the list. That's what I'm saying. I'm going with a guy that just doesn't get the notoriety because of other people on his team, but just a guy that we talk about players that don't play every day. He shows up to work every day. He puts up numbers. He guards the best opponent wing, the best wing on the other team. So I'm gonna give him some love too. I'm just not gonna go with superstars. Why can't you
work with me, man? Why can't you work with me? Why can't you work?
I think he's gonna have every New York Knick on there just for Justin.
I specifically said
no. He said leader. Like he said,
show him some love. All right, you know what? Do you have Triple J on there? I go with Triple J. I was going back and forth with him.
Say his name.
Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, he on there.
Okay.
He made the All-Star game, didn't he?
He did make the All-Star.
He did make the All-Star game. Yeah. Perennial DPOY candidate. In line for Supermax. Carried his team last year without carried his team last year without Ja. Just an all-around great defensive player. Offensive game starting to come around. Another young guy on my list. I haven't really gone to the young guys recently outside of Tatum, but just a guy that shows up every night and puts up numbers, and especially on the defensive end.
Okay, Justin, who you got?
When you want to go young, it's a certain angle to go through, and this Jaren Jackson, you can give it to him if you want to. I'm not feeling that one. But young player that's consistent, Cade Cunningham.
I was going to say Cade.
The fact that he went through Detroit and all that Detroit was, which was absolutely horrendously garbage, and to never complain, never say anything, made the All-Star team, got his team in a playoff picture right now. And you see Detroit starting to hit that curve and starting to, head in the right direction. And it's because of him leading the way. When I can compare that to, let's say, LaMelo Ball. Charlotte is not in the same trajectory. They are not heading in the same direction, right? So not every young superstar is contributing to wins like that. Cade contributes to wins right now. Shout out to Cade.
I mean, I get it. Good young players. I get it. But look, man, y'all know me. If you've been following me for years, it's certain guys I just like. Certain guys represent what I like. And this guy, when he was in Utah, I was rocking with them. And I felt like they didn't do a good job surrounding him with the pieces. Now he's in Cleveland. And I really think Donovan Mitchell is playing at such a level that he's still underappreciated at this very moment. Like consistent from the three, mid-range game is on point, can get to the rack at will, and he's consistent. Injuries, yeah, here and there. But go back to Utah. See what he's doing in Cleveland. You telling me that guy's not the leader of that team? I don't care what nobody say. The man is somebody I can watch play basketball anytime. I mean, pure jumper. And you telling me that we don't have no modern young players that can still carry this league? No, you just don't pay attention enough. I love Donovan Mitchell. He represents what I like about basketball. Calvin,
I love you so long.
Oh, my last one will be Braun, easily. I saved the best for last, easily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that needs any further explanation.
We
already talked about year 22. We already talked about just at least showing up and giving the league everything you have and just continuing to push this league forward with we talk about contracts. We want to talk about building your own brand. Whatever you want to talk about off the court or on the court, LeBron has led the charge over the last 10 years of his career and just leading his league forward. I don't even want to go back into what y'all talked about, but especially at this age, even given the fact that if he took more time off to try to prolong his career anymore, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. But just to show up consistently in 2 out of every 3 nights, you go back and look at some of the previous injuries he had or some of and how that derailed seasons. But now it's just about purely playing ball and purely hooping and just enjoying these last couple of years that he has and just giving it his all. And I gotta respect that.
Justin?
I want to give a shout out to Josh Hart. First and foremost, that's my guy. He's not on his list. He won't be on his list. He's not a leader, but consistency, I think he embodies that. I want to give also another special shout out to Steph Curry. You're number 6
on
for
the
me.
list.
I can't give you top 5, but
close.
You are that guy. I'm not even going to lie. Shout out to Steph. You proved me wrong this year. I have a question. Can I put 2 people in for this 5th spot?
No. Okay. Put them at 6 like you just did for Steph Curry.
No, that's the problem. I'm not even talking about that for being 6. I am torn, and I'll go with the guy, but I am torn, and I want to just put the Boston Celtics as the 5th spot. I want to put Tatum and Brown there.
You gotta pick one.
I can't.
You gotta pick one.
We will go with Tatum for now.
Okay.
Tatum goes there. Everything I'm gonna say for Tatum, it can also go for Brown. Both these guys show up. Both these guys put in work. Tatum has better stats, so we want to go with him. They both have just consistent for the last 5, 6, 7 years to deal with some of the things that they have been dealing with on and off the court. Through the season and through the exhibition of the off season, to still perform at a high level. Tatum and definitely Jaylen Brown, but we go with Tatum.
Yeah, now I was going to go with Tatum as well, but I also wanted to give an honorable mention SGA. He's been great, but he hasn't reached the success that Jason Tatum has reached. Again, I put Donovan Mitchell there because I just love his individual game, and I easily could have went all veterans with my 5, like any of us could have. But the whole point of this exercise was, if you look up and down, like this, the discussions that happen around the NBA, to me it just comes off such like a negative connotation on the league overall. But if you really look, there's some very talented, hardworking, good, skilled players that are still in this league. Years later, it's just all about the coverage and what we pay attention to. Some of these players, look at some of the names on here. Cade Cunningham. How much like national exposure does he get? How much does his game really get shined the light on? You got Jared Jack. Would I put Jared Jackson Jr. on my list? No, but like hard player, very much worthy of it for his skill on the basketball court. If that's the type of player that people are they going to go pay their dollars to see? They say, "Oh, we want that old fundamental basketball." But are you going to go watch that? Are you tuning in the Pistons games to watch what Cade is doing? Are you watching Cleveland and for the pure articism? Now, the problem I have with some of the players that we've picked, that's why I didn't put a Steph Curry on there, is I feel like even Tatum shoots way too many threes. You know what I mean? Steph and how he has changed the game to where everything has to be, whoo, Steph, you ain't shooting like Steph. You ain't that guy. You know what I mean? I think that is part of the perception issue with the NBA. So again, I couldn't put them on my list, but I just want to give some love to some of these guys who work hard, still play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and us can still be considered some of our superstars to represent this league pretty well. So anyway, good job, good exercise for us. Let's keep this thing moving. Next up, we got to talk about LeBron because, look, man, say what you want. After that All-Star game discussion, my man said I'll be ready for the second half. Came out, been balling ever since. I think I saw some stat averaging like 33 points a game last 3 games. Working well with Luka, blending the game together, playing off the ball, getting rebounds, putbacks left and right, dunking the ball with regularity. It seems like it's working. He seems energized defensively, which we all thought would be the issue, and still might end up being the issue down the stretch, depending on when the matchup is. But they seem to be playing well on both sides of the court. Luka started to get a little bit exposed against Kyrie the other night as we watched some of those matchups when they isolated him. They were able to a little bit down the stretch. But let's talk about LeBron. Calvin, what you think?
Look, I think we can finally say that this is the chance for him to pass the torch, whatever figuratively that means, of being a number one option on that team. When you have a Luka Doncic that can bring the ball up court, that can set up his own shot, that can set up his teammates, that can shoot, that can get to the basket, then get to the free throw line, and all of a sudden now LeBron James is the second option, is the guy that is going to be doing that back cuts I can throw a lob to just because Luka's getting so much attention. Just having him as prolong his career and just giving LeBron extra life in his legs. But he's playing phenomenally, especially with the lack of center right now. He's getting Austin Reeves to play better, who's averaged about 25 points the last 4 or 5 games. What can you say? But I mean, everyone talks about how when superstars go to play with LeBron, their numbers take a dip. Luka hadn't played basketball in 4 or 5 weeks, and we're judging him off his first game in LA against Utah. When he came back, and as he's gotten back into rhythm, and especially having that game against the Mavericks, albeit in LA and not in Dallas, he was still up for that one as well. But just being able to provide for that team, to lead that team in your 22nd year and still being arguably the best player on certain nights, what more can you say about LeBron James?
Justin?
This is starting to get a bit scary. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm watching that. I know that Dallas game, Luka was highly emotional. So I'm not holding that against him at all. But LeBron James took that game over. What we have here is a guy that can play freelance basketball, LeBron James, and when he needs to take over, he can take over instead of having to do it the entire game. He's playing free again. I didn't know that I misseeing it. Let's say that. Like it's like having a pain in your leg, and then one day you wake up and the pain is just gone. Like you didn't do anything; it's just not there anymore. Like, oh, I forgot how my leg used to feel. He's playing basketball, and it was so every possession had to matter, or else they was going to get blown out, and all these other things. It was so it was so meticulous. He had to make sure everything was right, and just for them to maintain some type of playing style. When I'm watching him now, I'm like, this is almost a version of the Miami Heat version of LeBron James. And I was like, yo, that dude was, I mean, some people say the comeback Cleveland, yeah, that's the best version of LeBron James. A lot of people say that Miami Heat version was the best version of LeBron James. I agree with that because defensively he was crazy. But he's playing free like that again. And besides the fact that Cleveland was him having a ball and him still controlling everything. So that's not what I'm seeing. It's okay. D Wade is doing everything, and I'm just catching lobs. I'm just running the floor and all these other things. But guys, that was 10 years ago. Like he should not be doing. He should not be outrunning people who have his age.
I mean, sprinting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm sitting here watching it. I'm like, yo, is he really gonna catch this lob? Like now, it ain't as high point as they used to be. But at the same, I mean, if you got an accurate passer, which most of the time Luka is an accurate passer, he'll get you the ball. He's putting the ball in the right places, and I'm like, yo, is this LeBron James? Like, he's out sprinting guys. I'm like, yo, I don't be surprised if he got to take some urine samples, some urine analysis, or something. Somebody's going to say that he might be on something about that. It's just uncanny right now, and I don't know how long it's going to last. This just might be a rejuvenation spot. You know, we'll see how long it can go. But I was not prepared for this. I was not expecting this. So the fact that he's performing at this level, that's why I had to put him on the consistency. He was going to go there anyway. But the fact that I had to make sure that I set him on the earlier side because I had to show my appreciation as being a fan of basketball. I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan at all, but I am understanding what he's doing for the basketball right now. No excuses, no complaints, none of that. He's just playing basketball, and he's making it very easy for Luka to make that transition because clearly he sees a superstar in Luka because Luka is a superstar. This is beautiful.
Is Luka the best point guard LeBron's ever played with?
By far, because he never played with a great point guard.
Oh,
Kyrie?
Kyrie's he's a two guard. He can
handle the ball.
He can masquerade as a point guard. Yeah. Kyrie Irving is a two guard.
He wants to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say that, then I say yes. I consider Kyrie a point guard.
You think Kyrie better than Luka?
I think Kyrie during that championship season in Cleveland was special.
He was. But was he Luka?
At his peak, he's not better than Luka, but that season, better than what Luka is this season, I would say.
That season I mean, absolutely no. Luka's better than every version of Kyrie Irving.
I've never seen Kyrie put up the numbers that Luka's.
No, I'm talking about if we're comparing his time to Braun, time playing with Braun. That's what.
Well, we don't know. It's not a finished product to compare the whole season of Kyrie to 3 games.
No, you talking about Kyrie with Braun just now, correct? Right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying,
Kyrie with Braun.
Comparing that to what? We haven't seen Luka
play by himself
his whole career.
Oh, Luka's career is better than Kyrie's career, but I'm saying at Kyrie's peak, I don't know if Kyrie's peak in that playoff series was special. I don't know if I've seen Luka's peak with Braun. I don't know if Luka's peak with Braun can get there. That's what I'm saying. With Luka's peak with Braun.
Okay,
not individually.
Why not?
So we got different dynamics going on when you're breaking this down. One, we already know what Kyrie is without LeBron, right?
What is that?
He wasn't that guy. right? So when you say Kyrie's peak and it was like this high, well, I just said that arguably you had one of the best versions of LeBron James right next to him. That LeBron James can still eat this LeBron James up. It's not even close, right? So you still
wait.
talking
You
about
just I thought
literally
I thought you said Miami Braun was the best Braun.
I notice I'm saying arguably. That's what I think. But
I'm
people
talking about what you
say
said.
that Cleveland. People think that comeback Cleveland was still his best. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you're still talking about an apex guy, a top 3 guy of all time, and that was one of his best versions. Of course, you should be able to do something. Of course, you should be able to be at your peak when all the attention is on the top 3 of all time. That's like, I mean, anybody can fit that mold. Anybody should be able to have their peak type performances if you're a decent player, if you're an all-star
Andre
player.
Iguodala, so that didn't.
What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it wasn't hard for Kyrie did it. I'm not saying that
I know what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I'm glad that he did it, but
I just asked the question.
You don't think he could do Kyrie could do that same performance with anything but peak Braun is what you're saying?
Absolutely not. It's
We
only
haven't seen
LeBron
it.
James. Because I haven't seen it with anybody else. He had opportunities.
He had plenty of opportunities.
He played with KD. The best player he's played with outside of Braun has been
KD.
You wouldn't say Luka?
No, I think KD's still better than Luka at this point in their career.
Okay, and even when he was a Luka, he played below his average in the finals.
Say what you want. People want to blame
Luka, but I mean, you can say Luka didn't play well enough to warrant the same attention that. But
I thought Boston did a hell of a defensive job on his ass. To be honest,
if you're one of the best point guard, I'm saying Kyrie's a point guard. I don't know if I specifically say that Luka is a point guard. I mean, I know he has the ball, and
no, he's a point guard.
He's a point guard, man. Sorry.
He's a point guard, I guess.
All right, let's move on.
and one last thing. The reason why we can say Kyrie was not a point guard is because LeBron James was the one that's bringing the ball up all the damn time.
So LeBron James not the one bringing the ball up now?
Controlled everything.
He's not the one. He's not doing the same thing now?
I think they're good mix.
He's not doing the same thing now?
It's mostly Luka. Until LeBron says, "I got it for a little bit."
Or even still, if you had to split that, if you had to say the top 3 is LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves, who are the de facto point guard, I still don't think at this point it's Luka is top 2. He has the ball in his hands at least of those 2. I mean, at least starting off. You can say it's him getting acclimated to the offense, but
it's going to be Luka running the show.
We'll continue to monitor that. Let's go back. KD was on the podcast and he stated that the deal was nixed by him to go to the Warriors. It was on the table. He said, as far as Warriors, I just didn't want to move. And then as a player like me, I cost a lot. So basically, he said, look, if y'all trade for me, me going to your team is going to be a whole new era of your team. When I get to your team, I'm still of value, especially in my contract, my production. Me just getting up and moving in the middle of the season is going to be a big blow to any team I'm going to. So he basically was saying he didn't want to go to the Warriors because to get him, it may have depleted the roster they would have had. Bullshit. And it's bullcrap. It's complete bullcrap.
Yes, it's
bullcrap. They would have gave up some picks. They wouldn't have lost nobody.
I mean, he did a part with Draymond. I guess it was today, yesterday. So I figured, but we know it was Draymond at the end of the day.
It was. And he tried to go on there with Dre to try to smooth it over, but everybody know you don't like this motherfucker. You don't want to play with him, and you don't want to be in the shadow of Steph Curry no more. Because if you win, they're gonna say, "Well, yeah, KD helped, but Steph gonna get the credit." That's just the bottom line, Justin.
Right. Right.
Wait, so
100%. I can't add too much. I honestly feel that that's exactly how I feel.
So where y'all think? Where y'all think he's going?
Because of that.
So where y'all think he's going? I'm assuming we all think he's getting traded after the season.
OKC.
I would love for him to go to OKC. I would love for him to go to Houston.
I don't know. I think it depends on how far Houston goes. If they go to conference finals, I don't see that happening. But I don't know.
KD
what point
went to a team that beat him and went to the finals.
No, but I'm from Houston's perspective. At what point is it that we think we just want our guys to get better versus we're going to trade some of our guys to get KD, and especially him not fitting the timeline. I like the OKC thing, especially if they don't win.
A core team already put together, KD is a piece to put you over the top.
Yeah,
but I mean, but he doesn't fit there. Not that timeline, but he's the oldest by like 10 years. Like it just doesn't. I don't know if it fits, especially with salary wise. With everything you have to give up to get to the salary to get KD, are you giving them too much? That's the other thing.
Right now,
I think you want to win.
The only max player they have is Jalen Green.
No, they got
go for it.
Whatchamacallit is a max player. The point guard.
Fred VanVleet was like a couple years ago max player. He's not. I don't think he causes that much. And if I want to get rid of somebody,
he making like 35.
See you, Fred.
They need a point guard in return. They can have it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the OKC thing. I also think San Antonio is a good option as well. So I don't see.
You said San Antonio.
San Antonio.
You just said about an age gap.
Mm-hmm.
Their best player is like 20.
Okay, but they still got De'Aaron Fox, who's a
CP3
20-foot contract. They got CP3, and they gonna potentially have a top 4 or 5 draft pick.
You don't know where the hell CP3 gonna be at next year.
He might be. He a high gun too.
No, he want to stay in Texas. I think that's been a key for him since he got traded from Houston.
Let's move on.
Let's move.
But we all agree he ain't gonna be there next year.
No. Yeah. Podcast P decided to hang it up. He said he will not be podcasting for the remainder of the season. Tell me about another. What's the worst off-season pickup? What's someone worse than what Paul George did to the Philadelphia 76ers? Who fleeced that organization worse? Come on, give me another name. Anybody fleeced
anybody? He got $200 million. I ain't gonna say he.
Huh? Yeah. I'm stealing money, Calvin. Look at average.
The only other player I can think of. It's a different sport, though.
Oh.
Absolutely not. It's getting close though.
You gonna say Kirk Cousins? You're a hater.
No, I'm not even saying Kurt. Albert. That's who I'm going with. Albert Hainsworth.
Albert. God damn, you went back in the bag.
The defensive tackle back when he got picked out, I think by Washington or whatever like that.
Yeah,
he had a great season. He was supposed to go to Washington and change everything, and ain't do a damn thing.
The only
The
only difference, in my opinion, like Paul George was brought in to be the number 2. He wasn't brought in to be number 1. I think a lot of their struggle is because of Joel Embiid. Now, granted, was he supposed to pick up for this? Yes.
But you can average more than 15 points a game. You got Maxey, so you still number 2. It's not like you leaped into, like, you know what I mean? He was never going to be number 2 if that's the case. If Maxey and Joel was there, because Maxey is the scorer. So give me more than 15. I'm sorry, man. What do you average? Look it up. Nah, man. He fleeced them. I'm not paying $200 million for no under 20 points a game. Pathetic. Let's take a look around the league. Current record
16.4.
That's pathetic. The Cleveland Cavaliers sit atop the Eastern Conference still. Get themselves a little gap. Had a big win earlier this week as well. Boston, I don't know. It's interesting. The Knicks seem to be in a little bit of influx right now. A lot of questions, injuries. Will they be able to turn this thing around? Justin, give us our weekly Knicks report.
No, I mean, we just honestly, we do have problems with the best teams in the league. We can't beat them. That's a problem. But we tend to think that it's a defensive thing more so than anything else. So if you tell me
y'all
that,
used to hang y'all hat on defense.
yeah. So if you're telling me that we get Mitchell Robinson back, which is
Okay.
our defensive center, our defensive captain, I think everything will fall into its place. It's kind of hard playing great defense, and then you got Cat as your defensive stopper. He tries. I'm
Blame it
not.
on
Cat
blame
is
Brunson
trying.
too.
He's no
Blame
Rudy
Brunson too.
Gobert.
We know, we already knew that about Brunson. But
Okay.
you brought in Cat, right? So we know where we have issues. It's just we need someone else there, and we was looking, but we already have somebody. We just got to get off an injury. Hopefully, it's this week.
Okay.
I'm not worried.
What you think about Boston here lately, Calvin?
I think Boston's a team that they know they just need to get to the playoffs healthy. I don't think they're trying to catch the Cavs. I think they can feel like they could beat the Cavs, even if they don't have home court advantage. So I think they're right in line where they want to be. And like Justin was mentioning, the Knicks haven't beaten the Cavs, Boston, or OKC. So the Celtics don't feel like there's a threat in the East right now to them. And I don't know if the Cavs are it. They got to prove in the playoffs. Even if you have home court advantage, you still got to beat the champs. So I don't think Boston's really worried. I just think they want their guys, specifically Porzingis and Horford, to be healthy come April when they make this run for the next title.
All right, now over to the Western Conference, OKC, looking like some chinks in the armor, man. A lot of people been questioning how even though the record is high, is good, can they sustain this? Will they be able to get this? We saw them have a tough loss to Minnesota earlier this week. But again, Chet Holmgren went down. Maybe he didn't play the entire game. Hartenstein went down. Yeah. Holmgren was hurt, left the game as well. I believe he didn't play in the second half. So interesting. At full strength, will that be the same result? Minnesota plays LA tonight. We'll see what they made out of. They had a good win the other night as well. Denver been up and down. I don't know what's going on here lately. They went on a nice run, and then things haven't been ever since. I think Luka dropped 40 on them last week, and had a good show out game. But again, it's still Yoke. He gonna get his numbers, but there's still something seems to be missing with Denver. Memphis hanging tough right there, 2-3, right there neck and neck with Denver. What's your thoughts on the Western Conference right now, Calvin?
I still think it's OKC's to lose. I mean, they had a back-to-back against Minnesota. They put up, I think 250 points in those back-to-back games against Minnesota. I don't think anyone beats them. I just think it's a matter of, can they get to the playoffs healthy? Denver poses a problem because they have Jokic. But I think that's really the only team that OKC really should be worried about, because they have talent at every position. They're young at every position. And at least for this year, they should be the best team in the Western Conference.
Justin, the Golden State Warriors, ever since they made that trade for Jimmy Butler, have seemed to have been on a tear. Some of it is beating up on a little lesser competition, but they are on a little streak going on here. A lot of people feel like offensively, Jimmy Butler's been able to acclimate very well, getting to the free throw line with great regularity. Defensively, they locking down better than ever. Do you think the Golden State, if they were able to get out of that play-in, maybe get squeezed to 6, could they give OKC a heartache, trouble if they end up in a first-round matchup with the right matchup? Can they get to the second round? Can they go on a little run? What's your thoughts?
Well, Golden State just beat Orlando tonight, and Steph Curry went off with 56 points.
Damn.
12 threes.
Damn.
Steph Curry looks around and he can see Jimmy Butler, and he realizes it's going to be okay. We all know playoff Jimmy is a thing, and it seemed like he brought that attitude to Golden State. And when you have that, I'm that guy in the playoffs, right? Like I could turn it on. Like there's a button I can press that. I'm a whole different guy. I'm not that Miami guy that you see in the regular season. He's bringing that tenacity on defense. He's bringing all out. He turned that thing on. So he's playoff mode right now. And now you can have Steph just be
Free.
Steph. and then you can have these explosions from time to time again now. So if Golden State, that they don't have a big, but are you telling me now, can they get to number 6? No question. No question. They already won game out in the loss, Kyle. So no question. They can catch that. Now you're saying who's going to be 3? And if I'm anybody, I don't want to be 3, to be honest with you. If I'm Denver, Denver's great. Yes, I have Jokic, and you can see if y'all can beat me, Draymond Green and the team. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to deal with Golden State. I don't want to deal with playoff Jimmy Butler that can take a team to the finals multiple times literally by himself. And I don't want to deal with Steph Curry, which is a 4-time champion, 2-time MVP. I don't want those problems. Yeah. So I'm going to try to avoid that spot. So if anything, I wouldn't want to be number 3. I'll be number 2 or number 4. I'm avoiding Golden State in the first round.
If I'm Houston or Memphis, I don't want to play Golden State. That's not a matchup they want. I don't think the Lakers want to play Golden State, to be honest with you.
I don't think the Lakers care. I think if you're a young team, I think that's it. Like you said, Houston, maybe Memphis.
Okay. I don't know, man. The Lakers and Golden State might be a little tougher with Jimmy. I think that might be a little tougher, especially defensively.
I think in my opinion, the Lakers still had the best player.
Still, at this point in time. But Jimmy and Draymond together,
I just think that's a lot of drives to the basket. So I'm not saying the Lakers have interior force either, but
that's what I'm saying. I think they match up a little better than Jokic. I think Jokic will have a field day. I'm sorry, I wouldn't be scared of them at 3. If the Golden State get the 6, and I'm Denver at 3, I'm pretty fine. I'm not worried about that.
Denver, you get there, you healthy, you fine. I don't think Denver is scared of anyone. I don't think they
big X factor is the X factor. You know what I mean? But like you said, stuff can get hot any night, and it is impressive that they've been able to turn it on. And quiet as it's kept, we'll see what Minnesota's able to do. I'm going to be watching that game closely tonight to see what they're able to do against LA. I think Minnesota has a run in them as well. And I think that a lot of Anthony Edwards talk, it's not just him though. He got a little squad and they all coming together as well. So that'll be interesting to watch. NBA is giving us some storylines heading into the playoffs. We know really don't get hot to about April. So we heading into March Madness, college basketball will take the center stage. We'll talk about that pretty soon. But April coming around, we'll see. This is going to be funny. Fun to track week to week with the standings and who ends up in that in-game tournament. I didn't even know you had a dog. All right, WrestleMania. Before we get out of here,
he was on the show before.
You're right. But he never bought before.
Never bought. Somebody came past the front door too close.
WrestleMania season is approaching, and as we've had started last week, we're going to be counting down some big issues. Now, one thing happened last week that we got to talk about, man. So The Rock, I think this was on Thursday. Breaking news, Rock will be on SmackDown on Friday. Everybody's like, okay, about to set up this WrestleMania program. Everything's coming together. We talked about last week. We might be some possibilities, Rock and Roman. We talked about the rumors that the Cody thing probably is dead because of what they did on Netflix when they shook hands and played nice and all this other stuff. And then The Rock went out there on SmackDown on Friday. And he almost made me stop being a fan again. That was probably the dumbest, most chaotic, ill-prepared I've ever seen. Like, come on, man. We watch this stuff. If you really watch wrestling, that was a smack in your face. It was an insult to your intelligence. The Rock comes out in character, first of all. Then he jumps out of character. Then he jumps back in character. He celebrates the fans. Then he tells the fans, shut up. Then he turns babyface again. Then he turns heel again, calling people in the crowd trailer park trash and fat, out of shape. Then he goes back babyface. Then he returns into corporate sponsor. Then he calls out Cody Rhodes and talk about he's going to steal his soul. And After the show, he does a press conference where he say, "Oh, I'm just playing the character of The Rock, and that's all part of the show." What is going on? Like, what happened to this wrestling thing we all used to love? What are you doing? What are you doing to your brand, Rock? That was pathetic. It was probably the worst I've ever seen The Rock on television. Like, be in character or be Dwayne Johnson. Like this back and forth, you're breaking the wall too much for me. Like, what are we doing? You shook hands with Cody. You made it seem like the storyline was dead. He's your champion. Now you're gonna be my champion. I want your soul. What? Justin, tell me I'm dumb. Tell me I'm off my rocker. I've been watching this thing since I came out of my womb, basically.
Like she was in a rocker yourself.
Yeah, like I maybe it's just jumped the shark. Maybe wrestling has passed me by. This is not entertaining to me. What did you think?
You mean to tell me that we're one step closer to getting a Homelander version of Cody Rhodes? I'm 100% all for it. If I can just get rid of the Cody Rhodes that I have right now, and you mean to tell me, if those that don't know what I'm talking about, just go YouTube The Boys and Homelander highlights, and then you're going to see everything that I'm talking about. He's almost there right now if you look at him. It would be just such a great thing for him to put his nose up at people and things. I am waiting for this version.
There was no way to do that without that.
I don't give a damn what the way is. If The Rock can flip flop 40 more times, if that gets me closer to seeing Homelander version of Cody Rhodes, sign me up. Sign me up. I don't care. The Rock could have fumbled his words. He could have stuttered.
He did
promos. He could have did it worse.
Forgot why he was out there for.
I think he was drinking. He might have been high. I don't know. Calvin, what did you think of that?
That tequila he got. Guess what? It got me closer to what I want.
The man was just talking.
I didn't see this live, so I was confused by it as I was watching the video. But I know there was some frustration, supposedly, with The Rock kind of coming back and interjecting him.
The day before, they had to change the whole show.
Yeah, and interjecting himself into WrestleMania plans, whatever they may be, because I don't think we know at all what's going on now.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
His movie got pushed back, so he got time now.
Yeah. It was so unorganized. It was pathetic.
So who's he fighting in WrestleMania?
He said, it doesn't have to lead to a match. This man want to be Vince McMahon. He want to do an Austin McMahon with Cody and The Rock. That's what he want. He want to be the authority figure and Cody be his champion. Like, he trying to go back to 1999. Bruh, it is 2025. Nobody wants a heel authority figure in wrestling. Let the guys handle stuff on the screen.
That the people that's like 12 to 25 don't know what the hell you're talking about.
They got the WWE Network.
So got Netflix. It can work because they don't know what you're talking about. The people that's running the internet now, they don't know what you're talking about. They heard about it.
YouTube is a thing,
but they didn't live it.
Yeah, I just think
we lived it.
This is bad. It's like doing a Montreal screw job all over again. Like it's been done. Beat it to death.
Don't say that.
It's been beaten to death. Let's move on. Anyway, Rock, you fumbled. You fumbled. Anyway, Elimination Chambers this weekend, this Saturday night, same night as Tank Davis fights this Saturday night as well. Yeah, head to head. But it should be interesting. It's a short show. I think they actually doing it in a way where the show will be over before probably Tank even gets in the ring. Cage match for Elimination Chamber, no one contendership. John Cena, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Damian Priest, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. Calvin, who you think's coming out on top going to WrestleMania? Given the fact that we don't know what Cody's plans are, this could be anybody. Like, The Rock could attack Damian Priest in the aisle, knock him out, and enter himself into the cage match. For all we know at this point.
You saying that like I said, you saying it like you got some inside information about
that. No. I'm just saying, stranger things have happened. Kofi Kingston got thrown into some steps one year, and he got his spot took him. Yeah, it's happened.
So I mean, so we're still saying whoever wins this matchup is fighting Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania.
That is
because
yes.
Jey
Because
Uso is
Dustin and
locked
Jey.
into his
at
match.
WrestleMania.
Yes, unless it's a twist and turn we don't know about, but yeah, that's 100%. That's on the books.
And we're also saying that Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns are fighting at WrestleMania.
We don't know. We don't
Okay.
know. We
Okay.
don't know.
Based off that information, I'm going back with Cena. I think Cena wins now.
That's the chalk.
I think that's the safe way to play it, especially if your plans for WrestleMania have changed and now you have 6 weeks till WrestleMania and you have to create these new storylines.
Mhm.
Let's go with what we know. We know we're saying we're going to put the belt on Cena at some point. We can do that now, or we can have him do it now. We can have him lose it now, but we just have to have that storyline going to WrestleMania, and then we can figure out everything else. So I'm going with Cena.
It just
I think
feels
that's the safest
so
play right now.
obvious. You know what I mean? Justin,
It's the
what's
safest
your
play.
I wasn't for Cena, as I said before. I was saying more CM Punk. But if you're telling me I'm getting corporate Cody, and corporate Cody whoops Cena's ass at WrestleMania, and then he gets his lick back later on in the year, I'm okay with that storyline. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I get another Cena defeat, so I'm okay with that. I get corporate Cody being corporate Cody. I'm okay with. Let's go with Cena, man. No questions.
All right. The women's chamber. This is interesting. You got Naomi, who they've been hinting at real heavy, might possibly been a person who took out Jade. Some people think it's Bianca. You got Liv Morgan, who won the tag team titles with Raquel Rodriguez from Bianca and Naomi the other night. You got Liv Morgan, who returned at the Royal Rumble. We haven't seen
that was a pretty good fight too.
Yeah, Bailey. Yeah, that was a good main event. And this would be interesting. Who you got winning here? Justin, let's start with you.
So the champion is Rhea Ripley. We've seen Liv versus Rhea far too long. The only other person that makes sense, I mean, you can throw anybody in there, but I don't know. Jade is coming, and Bianca mentioned, I think in some type of interview or something like that, like she'll do heel, but everything has to be perfect for her to do it. Like she's not gonna do it just to do it. But to go to WrestleMania to fight Rhea is a hell of a fight, and if she's heel, it makes Rhea versus Bianca even more, face versus heel. I'm going with Bianca.
Calvin, who you got?
EST.
Do you think Jade comes back on Saturday?
I think she makes an appearance.
That's my thought.
I mean, she making an appearance on IG all the goddamn time.
Well, I heard she left the Performance Center. I mean, so
she did.
My thought is, does she make an appearance? So does that storyline play? What'd you say?
She got her skills back. She had a brush off some skills.
She had to find them. I understand. But does that storyline come back into play? So I was thinking Bianca as well, kind of going with the storyline, going back to who injured her. And I think that's going to play a part, and it's going to end up being revealed that it's Bianca. It may not be revealed on Saturday, but it's kind of in the works, and that leads to them at.
I think Jada drops her as after she wins.
After she wins.
No, after she wins. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think we all on the same page. I think you have to pay that storyline off at some point, but I think the best match you can make at WrestleMania is Bianca, because they've held it off for years. Yeah. We've seen the Beckys, we've seen the Charlottes, we've seen all that.
You put her in a tag with her to give her more.
Yeah. The match is Rhea and Bianca. They the two. They came from NXT. They were the standouts down there, the big dogs. And finally at WrestleMania, it almost pains me to put them together right now and make Bianca the baby piece.
That's my only thing. It's too close.
I would rather Bianca be the baby piece, not the heel.
No,
all right, so it's April 20th. Yeah.
Do you realize how long they had that Liv and Rhea feud?
Yeah.
That thing was like 6 months.
But what else do they have?
You screw her. I think Jade should come back at Mania, or the reveal happened at Mania, and somehow that leads to Rhea losing the title. I don't know how they're going to do it.
I think it's got to pay off at Mania, so I think it's got to be revealed
sooner, and she wins the title.
I mean, unless you do it the Monday before Mania.
But Rhea don't have nothing to do with that, though. That's my point. Like, do you move her to the side and do Bianca versus Jade as a big match at Mania? They've been building that. Remember, they were the former tag team
building
champion.
it, but she got to be ready.
She ready? Match. She was just hurt.
I'm talking about Jade. Like, she has to be ready for a singles match on the biggest stage.
Jade has worked many singles matches. Man, Jade was in AEW, was the TBS champion for almost a year. She can work. They just wanted her to work their style, and which is not the best style in the world. Let's call it what it is. But she got hurt. So anyway, the rumors was she might have been pregnant. But we'll see. We'll see. If she don't pregnant now, I think something might happen where didn't go the way Anyway, yeah. So let's move on. The final big match on Saturday is unsanctioned match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think they've done an excellent job with the promos building this matchup. We've seen it before, but I don't give a damn. These two can talk me into one and watch these two fight anytime. Very happy. And I think somehow, some way, Randy Orton works his way back into this storyline. We haven't seen him in a while. I think Randy's been injured because of Kevin Owens. I think he raised his head, setting up their big Mania blow-off match between Kevin and Randy. I think that starts on Saturday. Any thoughts, Justin?
I don't give a damn about this matchup.
You're a hater.
I can care less about KO. I can care less about Sammy.
I love KO.
It would have been better if Sammy would have interfered with that match between Cody and to cause Cody to lose and Kevin Owens to be the champion of all champions for a small window. I would have took that, and I'd have been happy.
You hate Cody. You hate Cody.
Huh? I don't hate Cody. That's the thing about it. I know somebody hate Cody. I don't hate Cody. I just had to come to the terms where as though he is not that great.
He is.
That's all. He is not, man.
He's a great representative of the company.
He is a great. You are 100% right. The same guy that left the company is a great representative of the company.
And that's why he'll be a great corporate champion.
That's right. Oh, y'all haters. Anyway, let's get out of here. It's been a fun show. We'll be back next week. We got some other topics that we're going to get into. Off-season NFL. We're going to start talking about the salary cap went up, so we'll see what teams are able to do with that. We'll get into that.
Go get Jay Alexander.
And now that it's NBA season, we're going to do more and more of these lists and talk ranking people. And one thing I do definitely want to start doing as far as NFL offseason is ranking who's the best quarterbacks, running backs, things of that nature. We're going to put all time, not just we can talk history. We can talk, man, look, it's endless. And I sent you all a picture I saw about the all-decade starting fives for the NBA. I want to discuss that next week, so come prepared with your five, and we'll talk about that as well. So anyway, we'll be back on Tuesday night. We appreciate y'all being flexible with us on a different night, but we got you out of here by 11 o'clock, so we appreciate you, and we'll see you Tuesday night. Calvin, any final thoughts?
NFL free agency, franchise tag start, so we'll start to check those boxes off. But hey, Mark Andrews for Jay Alexander. Make it happen, EDC.
Stop it.
Make it happen.
Justin, any final thoughts?
I'm laughing at the Silent Generation. That was a funny name. No, man, just looking forward towards what's going on. I'm matter of fact, I'm watching hockey tonight. I'm not. I'm lying. I'm not watching no hockey.
I'm about to turn the NBA on. Final thoughts for me is tomorrow is the last day of the month, and a lot of people are calling this Blackout Friday. If you can do it, do it. If you want to know what the reason is, look it up, Google it. It's been talked about. Look, a lot going on in this country right now, guys. But let's be real. It's always been a lot going on in this country. It's just to choose what you've been paying attention to and what impacts you. It's just a lot of things that are happening now are impacting a lot of people right where it matters. And look, we all know somebody works for the government in some form or fashion. Hey man, Calvin, you a government worker, aren't you?
Yeah.
How things for you?
Confusing.
Boy, don't get fired for this damn show.
Look. So I just want to say, keep thoughts and prayers for all government workers. Trust me, I date one, talk to one every day who was very frustrated, very fed up, very confused, very at our wits end, and I had to talk people off ledges and stuff. Look, just keep everybody in prayer, thoughts. Look, you never know. Somebody want to tell you to send a progress report of what you do at work. Like, ain't that part of my job to do my job? Can't my boss tell me if I'm doing my job or not? Anyway, we can get into all that another time. But anyway, tomorrow is Blackout Friday. If there are companies that you have been supporting who don't support you, rethink about who you're supporting and put your support where it matters. Like, call it what it is. Calvin, you have something?
No, I reading about Steph going for 56.
I'm talking about some important political news.
You told what I was reading. That's what caught me off guard.
On that note,
Jesus.
Supposed to ask why I make that face. That's what threw me off.
Justin, you got anything to add before we get out of here?
If we talk about black and stuff out, supporting those or don't support those that support you, or whatever the case may be, listen, get off the damn fence. We support anybody that's rocking with us. Y'all rocking with us. We appreciate y'all. So if y'all want to throw some businesses out there, feel free. Throw your hashtags down there, especially if it's black owned, because it's Black History Month. So we'll support those that support us, no doubt.
100%. And we appreciate you. Look, again, keep everybody in thoughts and prayers, because look, some crazy times out there, and they only gonna get crazy. This man in office for 4 years. Haven't even been 2 months? Has been a month. When he got sworn in the 25th of January? A month and 2 days.
January
20th. It's been a month.
A month and a week.
27. Yeah.
Crazy. But anyway, we'll see y'all next week. We're not a political commentary podcast, but sometimes we're gonna have to do a couple segments on this stuff because it's crazy. It's crazy. I'll let y'all see y'all next week.
You didn't end the show yet.
The button did.